Hi, and welcome to Toni Time. Um, Whatever time of day you're watching our show, get your cocktail or get your coffee or tea. As you all know, I did a class in March. It was March. And I had a great turnout, some wonderful students that came from all ages. I had people in my class from 13 years old on up to 87 years old. But in between all that, I had some very special people as well. And today on our show, one of the special people is here with us today. He wrote a book called Zombie Truckers, and we're going to talk about that and how he got into that and moving forward. Welcome, Robert.
Well, good morning.
Welcome to our show.
Hi.
So this is all very exciting.
This is exciting. It's exciting.
Very exciting. So you were a truck driver.
No, I actually very minuscule trucking. I was in the transportation industry.
All right.
Yeah. I started at a young age. I did about everything you can imagine in trucking in the first 10 years of my trucking career.
Okay.
In the last 33 years, it's all been in supervising management in transportation. And again, but I led a lifestyle that was not
Well,
very
that would
becoming.
be a difficult lifestyle.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, because whether you're supervising and doing that, you're in one area. The truckers, I mean, they're driving cross country, grab a bite to eat, you go back and sit down. So now you lost 100 pounds.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a pretty marvelous, and it came in a very strange way as well.
Now, what gave you the strength to lose the 100 pounds?
Well, again, I didn't realize that food was my issue. Again, with family, friends, we're all big people. That I figured it was hereditary, and living that lifestyle of traveling a lot and been in working in an office in a complacent job.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it. The stress, the eating those types of foods.
So you would just grab
I just would
anything
grab
on
anything.
the run.
Oh, basically the standard American diet for today was what most people have come to acknowledge as their regular diet. I realized in a very special time that I needed to take control of my life, and I had tried diets before. And like most people, diets are one of those things that it's a restrictive type of word that nobody wants to hear.
No, they don't. And they don't want to change their ways.
And I was one of those individuals. My wife, for years, would say, Bob, you need to take better care of yourself. You're stressful. You're eating unhealthy. And they nagged me for years. And
Didn't you lose a friend?
I lost a very close friend. And the situation was that he passed at a very young age. He was 49. I was 47 at the time. And I was fat, sick, and dying. And we were at his funeral here at St. Joseph Church on Elm Street. And very touching time for me is that I looked over and I see his three boys. And my wife turns to me and says, you know, that could be you. And boy, that was the turning point of my life at that point where I kind of had asked at the time some spiritual guidance. I said, I don't know what to do. I've been at this diet thing before. What do I do? And
Yeah.
I basically kind of said a prayer under my breath because I looked at my girls and they all crying, and I didn't want to leave them.
No.
At that young age, and says, I could be, because I hadn't been feeling well at the time. And so,
Well, what symptoms did you have?
this constant, you sleep for 10 hours, you get up, you're more tired than you were when you went to bed.
Yeah.
Just no motivation, low energy.
What foods did you crave?
Sugar. It wasn't much on nicotine, but I had a lot of friends that were nicotine,
Yeah.
alcohol, chemicals, caffeine. You're living on caffeine, you're draining your adrenalines. And
So how was it when you finally got what I call the aha moment? How did you start?
the beginning was, and it was strange, because I made a promise at that time in that church that I said, boy, if you could help whatever it is heal me, I kind of made a promise that I would come back and heal the world. And that's a huge promise to say, hey, listen, if I can take care of me, which I didn't really think at the time that I could ever be successful at being able to lose 100 pounds and give me the life and the passion and energy that I've created in my life in the last 15 years has been unremarkable without any pills or any specific guidance.
So that takes a lot of willpower.
Well, I don't think it was so much willpower as that there was a presence behind me that kept opening things that beyond me that I was expecting. I asked for something to come to me, and things came to me in a very strange ways.
Like how?
Well, after that funeral on a Saturday, the following Monday, I have HR in my office, and I'm thinking, oh, here I am a supervisor. I must have had something go down bad, and in transportation that the HR would come to visit me personally. And it was that beginning. She says, Bob, I need your help. And she said, well, okay, what can I help you with? She says, well, we need 20 people to join Weight Watchers to start a program.
Oh, my.
So, and I go, well, wait a minute. I kind of, I didn't think it was possible to get the scheduling the people to get 20 people. She looks at me in the eye, she says, and she's a little lady, and she looks at me and smiles, she says, oh, you only need to get 19, Bob. So she had already included me in this prospect to be able to get out there and do this.
Okay.
Well, we were successful, and Weight Watchers was the beginning of me understanding the concepts of food and exercise and lifestyles to an extent. But what was really interesting in that whole piece was I became this obsessed individual. It wasn't enough counting points. I needed to know the truth. I wanted to get to the bottom line. It's one thing when I realized that you could eat cake and drink a beer, and that was okay in a Weight Watchers program. I didn't feel it was feeding me what I really needed. It was depriving me of what my body needed to nourish. So I started reading book after book after book. I became this nut of understanding. So one doctor says, this diet will do this. Well, if Atkins is over here and you can eat a meat-based, or this doctor here doing the South Beach, and it's kind of somewhat contradictory.
Yeah.
But there are commonalities. So I became, and my wife says, well, there were situations that came in about that I was put on a night shift supervision job, and again, that was kind of like almost a demotion through a downsizing of the company, but it was an opportunity again, go back to school. So I went back to school to learn about nutrition. Here I've been 3 or 4 years of studying and reading, and I says, well, I took it and I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition in New York, which really opened my mind to so many different modalities that I never realized. And to that, I realized that there's more than just the food that's nourishing your body, mind, and your soul. So when it opened those doors, I started looking at foods and the things it did. So I became my #1 client. Well, the weight started pouring off. I mean, I still was doing Weight Watchers, but I was still understanding the concepts of food. What I didn't realize is I had a gold mine sitting in my backyard that I've always grown organic farming vegetables, and I could never realize the 2 and 2. When you start realizing that I'm sitting eating these fresh vegetables all summer long, and I'd lose 20, 30 pounds, but then when the kids went back to school during the fall, we're eating pizza and drinking soda and eating those things that weren't so helpful to my body, I would instantly get fat like a black bear going into hibernation. So I'm thinking, and it was almost comical because one of my daughters, and I don't mean to put her on the limelight, they say, hey, meet my dad. And that was a time of Fat Bob's SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants. Well, meet my dad, Fat Bob's, fat stretch pants. So Fat Bob stretch pants. Well, that kind of hurt, but but it was true because I would lose weight in the summer because I was more into eating vegetables. And then I said, wow, wait a minute. All these doctors have a similarity. All these diets have similarities where fresh foods is the key ingredient that most doctors say that you can kind of help yourself eating this.
Let me stop you there for the audience to clarify something. Weight Watchers, you started at the beginning. So as you started to learn different things on that, and you said you were reading everything, the Atkins diet, South Beach diet, you said some of them have a similarity.
Yes, and the similarities are that they're eating a lot of fresh ingredients. So as you study, so when I went back to school, I learned over 126 different dietary theories. I mean, there's a lot of them. That's a lot of diets. And after receiving some of those, you can pretty much lose weight on any kind of diet if you restrict certain things. But is it really going to feed you the way you need to be of those phytonutrients and micronutrients in bodies?
Isn't everybody different?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because Roger Williams coined this phrase called bioindividuality back in the 1950s. Yeah. He had a belief that the environment that you live in, the lifestyles you choose to eat, the foods you eat, and how you nourish your mind, body, and soul. This bioindividuality, what might work for you is, I would say that one person's food is another person's poison.
Right.
And again, when you understand learning about your body, how you react to food, and how a lot of people don't listen to their body because the body's giving you signals, but you don't really listen. But there are commercials that are pushing drugs to say, hey, take this before you have the heartburn. Well, you shouldn't have to do that.
No.
If the body's telling you got heartburn, then that's its natural way of telling you. You probably shouldn't be eating that type of food, the spiciness or whatever it is.
Listening to your body.
Listening to your body. So it's reconnecting with your inner.
Now, when you got involved in the school,
Yeah.
and you said it just opened up a whole new world, was it the fact that you understood what everything meant?
No, no, it was leading me to two things. What would really challenge you to the school is
Yeah.
because it was a kind of an open concept, because you had somebody that came in as a total vegan, and then you had somebody that was a trying meat eater, and then when they proposed these doctors to come in and talk to you, David Katz, I'm a big fan of David Katz. He's one of the leading found nutritionists in the world, and big fan. Mike Pollan, a lot of these people have come, and I've learned under
Yeah.
these folks. It opens your eyes to many concepts, and the fact that though this one person brings up, they would always play him with another one that's a devil's advocate on this side. And now you're thinking, wow, I have to figure this out to myself.
Yeah.
Because what he's saying is truth for me.
Yeah.
But if I was to do this guy, it's not going to fit me. But the people out there, that will fit them.
So you have to know.
To listen to your body, understanding those things. And what taught me was that you need to be open-minded. And this was
Yeah.
what created to me. And I didn't realize that taking me to that next step of becoming a health coach is when you listen to clients, because they're in a place right now that it's unique to them, not necessarily a cookie cutter, here,
Yeah.
take this diet and run with it.
Yeah.
No, it's listening to what your body really needs. And you may be deficient in things that you don't realize that you're thinking, you're
Okay,
craving
so
things.
people say, oh, I have a craving for whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat it because my body wants it.
Right. You have that craving for sugar or
Or green beans or whatever it is.
I haven't seen too many people crave green beans.
I know, I
but
haven't either.
but again, those were one of the things when I learned at Weight Watchers, when I started flipping through the book. When you first start any
Yeah.
kind of program, you look at that and say, "Geez, green beans, 0 points." But eat a piece, a little slice of pizza. Well, I ate your whole pizza. Was
Yeah.
8 points. Well, if you only had 32 points for the day, well, I just ate more points. And I said, this isn't working for me. That's where it kept driving me to understand the truth.
Okay, so explain to the audience points.
The points in the system, the whole Weight Watchers thing, is that they allocate points for a certain version. They think it's calories. And then a lot of people, most nutritionists will say, well, calories in, calories out type of thing. And not all calories, to me, are created equal. But again, the point system was created that you could have a piece of cake, but it's 12 points. But you got to remember, you only have 32 points for a day. You're going to be drinking water and green beans the rest of the day. So that was limiting to you. And I never felt that was nourishing, so you needed to have a well balance. But they
Right.
taught you skills where you needed to have either buy their meal plans or go to the store and buy this thing. But again, what they didn't realize is it's not fresh. It's made for shelf life. Their food is additives.
Right.
And again, Atkins has their brands and
Yeah.
everything else. But again, that's a processed food. In order to retain shelf life, they
Yeah.
have to put preservatives
Well,
and
I would think
artificial
so.
ingredients to maintain that. Otherwise, it would spoil.
Yeah.
And I could talk forever on different terms on
Yeah.
food, but I have some great things in my book. I talk about examples that are almost comical, but yet we take it for granted.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people, they know they have to lose weight. Look at all the shows on television. The Big Loser, or, Revenge Body, or whatever it may be, and they're going to do it in 12 weeks.
Right.
But they also say there, it's your diet, it's burning the calories. Right. How long did it take you until you started to see that change?
When I started taking Weight Watchers, I took it pretty serious because I was the leader of that group.
Yeah.
I became, before the Big Loser show even existed, I became the big loser of that group. I had lost 26 pounds. But it was the knowledge of learning some of the other things that I encompassed in that. And then I started realizing that, hey, listen, if you eat fresh, you pretty much, those are 0-calorie foods when you start eating those types of foods.
Yeah.
And those foods felt they were giving me life energy. So when I started understanding some of the concepts, and when I started reading other things and other doctors, understanding how food really is, you are what you eat.
And they've always said that you are what you eat.
So, but not everything is created equal. Everybody's in a different place. Everyone's in a different sign. They may be, you say cravings. Your body's giving you signals when you get those cravings. And this is where I work with clients and people that says, listen, I really, really crave. I got sugar cravings. I got certain kind of cravings. I found that maybe you're not feeding your bodies the right foods. Again, everybody thinks, well, I got to go on a diet, I'm going to eat salad all the time. It's not necessarily salad.
Yeah.
Again, some foods are created, and again, this is where my organic comes vitamins into points. There are seasonal items that come at a time when your body needs those items at that given time. We're coming after a long winter.
Yeah.
The first greens that come out in the springtime are your nourishing greens to kind of purify, detox your body of things, the toxins that have been built over the long winter months.
Yeah.
So now that those greens are going to create things, and I mean, again, I have an area in my garden that's all dandelions, and people say, geez, what are you growing there? It looks like dandelion patch. And I says, those are people are throwing weed things to kill their weeds. I said, no, that's my nourishing, the first greens that come out. In fact, the deer come out and are grazing on that. So if something tells you that, hey, listen, if Mother Nature's craving for this, then our body should is. And again, these were the greens that the ancestries, and I've talked to you about ancestries, the learning.
Right. Now, where my confusion comes in, when I'm in a grocery store, I mean, I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. I eat a lot of salads and salmon and that kind of thing. But when they have the organic and then they have the vegetables that doesn't have the sign organic on it, what's the difference? Usually the organic is more expensive.
Yeah, again,
what is the difference?
The difference is that when you're talking organic, it doesn't mean that it's totally pesticide free. Again, you never know what you're going to have unless you grow it yourself.
Yeah.
And if you understand that component of that, again, the difference is that the celery that you're buying that's non-organic has been fertilized with chemicals to achieve that ultimate results. They look like they're on steroids.
Yeah.
Again, they look great, they're unblemished, they've been sprayed, and pesticide and fertilized. Again, they look good. And we've been taking over the years, assuming that we're eating healthy.
Yeah.
And again, we're taking on the lifestyle. So if you're putting chemicals in the ground, the plant is absorbing those chemicals. Now, if you're doing organically, the whole thing is that those are the microbes that you're creating in the earth are going to feed that plant naturally. So it's taking longer to get an organic type of vegetable. It's hard to do on the scale of doing a business of running this. There's no way that you can do a major business. This is why I'm a proponent of local farming, where people use those concepts of using organic. So again, there's total difference. And again, my daughter says, Dad, I bought carrots in New York City, and they come from a source. They've been trucked across the planet. They come from Bakersfield, California, out of these plants, and here they are. She said, Dad, I come home and I eat this carrot. It's night and day. The colors are different. Your carrot's so pronounced. It's so unique. She says, I make a point to go to the farmer's market.
Yeah.
So people are looking that are really conscientious are looking for that. But again, to know just how that was grown or whatever, you'll never know.
I think that's where the difference is, because I know I even walk in the grocery store and go, okay, organic, this. Well, I'll get this, wash it really well. Yeah. But that doesn't really make the difference. It's the way it grows.
Right. And there's a lot to it. But again, it drove my passion to share some of this technology with what I was trying to accomplish. Again, when I understand the foods that we needed to eat, I immediately started to lose a lot of weight. And when I started eating and changing my diet, I mean, I incorporated exercise. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing. To think that at 50 years old, I ran my first marathon, and that was almost 11 years ago.
That's a good feeling.
And I tell you what, it came in small pieces, and again, it was one of those things. It was daunting when I had a friend that said, we started walking because that was the thing that Weight Watchers said, you need to get out and exercise, do something. Well, we started as a walk at lunchtime. My trucking buddy would show up and we'd go for a walk. And then it says, hey, how about if we jog to that pole? And then we'd go to that telephone pole, and the next thing you know, it was 2 poles. The next thing you know, we were jogging, talking, and so it created this
Does it
exercise.
help to have a buddy?
Absolutely. I think it's an accountability partner. As I teach classes over since 2011 at Lordship Beach Saco Adult Ed. Part of the program is learning that being able. People living alone, are complacent. They need to get out. They need to create a friend. I like to create a like community where they may meet a friend or two and say, hey, can we go for a walk?
Right.
And that's the beginning of something. To me, it was so special is that my trucking buddy Critter, and he's probably going to hate me for sharing him, but we created a bonding over and outside the work business and sharing.
So did he have a weight problem?
Oh, he was a big boy at the time, maybe not as big as me, but together we were running pound for pound. It was funny when we first hit that 200 threshold, and we was at 199. It was like, it was amazing because we were both at that point where we ran our first marathon together. And to think that it was challenging, but we each kept it up. There were days that I just didn't want to get out and even leave my desk because I felt overwhelmed with work. But it was a blessing that he was there. Said, Bob, grab your bag, you need it now. And we'd go out for maybe a 1 or 2 3-mile run, and we'd come back. And it started small steps. It wasn't like we're going to go out and run 3 miles.
No,
and
you can't do that at the
and that's what
beginning.
I try to teach the folks is, listen, you've never been on the couch before. It's the small steps that take you to get off the couch, leave the remote, and just start to move. And again, that's the beginning. And then learning that, and then I kind of put some techniques of that telephone concept that, hey, if you can just run across that street into the next telephone pole, and again, it begins, and you become addicted, because when you start seeing the weight fall off you, and now you want to feed your body.
You want to continue, because
you want to say,
improvement.
right, and I had different folks show up with my class, and they were already runners, but they didn't know how. I hear that you teach a lot about food and nourishing it, because I felt that I needed that fuel to get me through those long runs, and I said, man, I've got the ingredients. Let's share that with the class. So it became a kind of a half nutrition class and a half exercise class.
I believe people who have a hard time losing weight, or they're in a job where they're sitting a lot, I think it's getting the mindset going. But also, a lot of people will have excuses about, well, I got to work from this time to this time, then the kids come home.
Right.
But I've also seen people who just started to change their diet slowly.
Yeah. Small steps.
Small baby steps. Now let's get back to, okay, so now you've learned all of this, all right? Your wife was the one that was a turning point at your friend's wake.
Right.
Then you decided to write a book, Zombie Truckers.
Yes.
Where did that concept come from?
Well, that beginning of that whole process, again, I had been very successful with healing myself.
Okay.
Some family members taking some of my ideas, and I needed to share this more than just the community that I was trying to teach at the local avenue, and been successful there as well, or taking on private clients. But I didn't feel I was getting to the audience I really wanted to, and many were coming to me at the time, says, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
I've been in the transportation industry for a very long time, and I knew that these people really needed help, and I didn't know how to get to them specifically. And again, I wanted to give those concepts to them, so to take the easy steps, so they didn't have to take 15 years of their life of learning about nutrition to the level that I did, but easy steps to say, how do I get there? How do I take that zombie in me, that fat, sick, and dying, that I need to keep my medical card in order to achieve my livelihood? You got some drivers that come to you and the doctor tells you, hey, listen, if you don't get control of your blood pressure, this medicine is going to be nil. Your blood pressure is too high, you're pre-diabetic, your job's coming to an end. Now, you've had a career of that's all you've pretty much done in your life, and now you're at the hands of, I need to control my future. Again, I created some destinies. And again, I've seen some of my friends walking in, and I see them waddling across the parking lot. And again, I'm thinking to myself, saying, hey, they're fat, sick, and dying. They've been diseased with this obsession of food that we've created in our society, that we've become, that's all we know.
Well, that's all, I would say 2 generations know.
Correct.
It's the fast foods. It's the quick foods. The world has gotten lazy. We have remote controls. We have little robots that can bring you a soda. You don't have to get out of this chair.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's just continuing on.
Yeah.
And so you, now I remember you saying you saw them coming in like zombies.
Right, and again, I don't watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
And so to me, I kind of watch the weather, because that dictated my livelihood as to what you need to do. And the weather dictates a lot of things. But to me, it was that day when I saw these guys coming in, and the publisher, I told him my book, and it was, again, the book of the title of the book was going to be Truckin' Bob's was to healthy lifestyles. So they didn't really like the title. They says, it's kind of a health book. I says, well, it is a health book, but we need something that's going to catch the eye. And that one day, my kids were watching this marathon of The Walking Dead, and what are you watching? And you've been watching that for 4 hours. Dad, it's The Walking Dead. And I go, well, what is that Walking Dead? And they go, well, it's these people that have been infected with a virus, and they're walking, they're lethargic, and they're waddling. And I was like, wait a minute. So this one night, I'm thinking there was a snowstorm at work, and I see my boys coming across the parking lot, and they're waddling up the stairs, one after another, tired, beaten and exhausted, undernourished, hadn't eaten all day, stuck in snowstorms wherever. And I'm thinking, boy, I've created myself, we've got a bunch of walking zombies. So I started thinking, I says, the book is that we got a bunch of zombie truckers. But again, now I'm thinking I probably should have titled it, our whole society's turned into zombies.
Yeah.
If you look around.
Yeah, a lot of it has.
I mentioned to you that I went to New York City because I was
Yeah.
highlighted, my book was highlighted at this nutritional conference. I selected from 30 authors from around the world to come to
That's
a nutrition,
wonderful.
which I think it led so many other doors to open. I got on the Road Dogg Mad Show, and it was awesome to be able to speak to an audience to get the word out that we've become the society blinded and we don't know what to do.
Well, no, we don't know what to do.
So my book is out there. It's kind of deceiving. We become zombies in a sense, but again, it takes it takes me sharing my personal journey along with ideas of taking the personal responsibility.
See, you went through it. You're writing from experience.
Absolutely.
It's what you've experienced. It's where all of your studies and all you're saying, okay, this kind of works, but, and you yourself has gone down the road. So now, you're accomplishing your goal and dream of helping other people because you've done it. You're not just sitting and writing a book.
Right.
See, this is the difference where my audience can say, okay, I read your book, I looked at your book. His book is right to the point. It's very precise. It's not a thick book. It's a book about that thick. So every word in there is a useful word, as I call it. Not a lot of filler in there. It's fact. He wrote fact from his experience.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you realize that so many people might not fit this form, but also telling them, don't be afraid.
Right.
Don't be afraid to think, well, that doesn't fit, but I can take part of that and part of that.
Correct.
See, you're creating, I think it's wonderful. I think the fact that you're doing it from your own experience should give our audience a comfort level that you know what you're talking about.
Well, I want to really make a difference in people's life, and they have to know that it's not a diet. It's a small lifestyle changes, and again, it didn't happen overnight.
No.
But the successes came to me in different ways, and again, I have so many stories I could share of those successes. But when you transform these people, it's mind-giving to me. It's blow me away.
Gratification for you and for them.
Oh, for them, it's achieving something that they never thought was possible. And on the second hand, it's opened their mind to understanding what food really is about and how encompassing. And again, it's not all about food. And I talk about this in my book. It's when I take lifestyle, sometimes it's incorporating exercise, which is a component, but the spirituality, getting connected with Mother Earth. Yeah. There's a whole component there that some people, they realize that they're trying to exercise, they're trying to eat well, but you're in a toxic relationship or with a job career that just is not satisfying.
Right.
And it's driving you to drink or smoke or do those vices that are really creating the opposite. Even though you're trying to attempt to do this, it's creating this and it negates whatever your long phase.
Well, what I love about you is the fact that you're a tough guy.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of tough guys out there.
Absolutely.
Who maybe watch this show or they're walking by going, wait a minute. But there's a lot of those tough guys out there who are truck drivers, who are whatever line of work you can think of.
Oh, the construction guys.
Construction guys. All of these walks of life where you're one of those guys.
Yep. And putting that into a perspective
Right.
is not knowing. I share this a lot of times. There are three categories. And again, I'm ashamed to say that I was in the stupid, ignorant category. I just didn't know that food was my problem.
know.
But I have to believe there are a lot of people out there that didn't realize. And then you got that other category that they kind of know, but they're too lazy to follow up on this. Yeah, I know I should do this, but you know what? It's so much easier doing this And you know what? I'm too lazy to change. And then, again, I hate to say this, and there are a lot of my brothers out there that are in this other group where they're just never going to change. You know what? This is the way I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to die of something anyway. So why should I even give the effort?
I always feel that's a throwaway line.
It is.
It's a throwaway line, and the fact of, a lot of the guys who are in these lines of work, and this is toxic for me, or this is toxic, but you know what? It's a comfort. And if I change it, I'm going to have this big mess over here.
Right.
So I'm going to stay right where I'm at.
Correct. Yeah, no change.
And then you have a standoff.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way. That's the piece that I want to share, is taking that personal responsibility for your own wellness. I mean, we're all worried about healthcare, where it's going to take us in a few generations. And I think that if people take a personal responsibility, I mean, doctors in the medical society have done some marvelous things with medicine and stuff.
Sure.
But I think they're too quick to give the look for that magic pill, the diet pill, or this thing or that thing.
Because everybody wants a miracle. They want to put a Band-Aid on the problem. Right. Now, okay, this brings me to another question. Is it self-esteem that makes you go forward? Was when you got the aha moment,
right?
Was it the family that pushed you? Was it your self-esteem that I want to look good? What was that?
Well, to me, it was part of me is I didn't want to leave the planet that soon. I says, here I am half my life, 47 years old, and I'm thinking, geez, and part of that 47 was I really hadn't felt good even in my 20s and 30s, and here I am. I could be that person dropping dead then. And I says, man, is this what I've been put on earth to do? And I kind of said, well, if promising of the healing myself that I would come back and do this. And there's, I tell you, a magical transformation in me, the confidence. Again, I had always been a fat, kid as an individual, and a lot of people, the last one to be picked on the team, the big kid. Now today, I'd fit right in.
Yeah.
But back then, in those days, being a big kid, you were probably the brunt of most jokes, or
Sure.
the last one to be picked on the team. And again, I'll admit this, I wasn't a good ball player because I couldn't run, catch, or throw. So again,
So that chunk of your life, you're talking what, 30, 40 years?
right, has been this quiet,
Quiet.
studious, and now I've been transformed to this guy. You can't shut me up now. They went from Truckin' Bob to Babbling Bob, and I can talk forever when it comes into nutrition and life, because I have such a passion and know that I've done this, and I've done some wonderful things to people out there, and being able to get that word out to the people that you have choices every moment in your life.
You do.
You have the capabilities of transforming your life.
Oh, yeah.
But it's that I hope to spark people to make that change, because I tell you, I speak to the younger people. Here I am in my 60s, and people say, "Man, you just got energy like unbelievable." I do, and you know what? I sleep 4 or 5 hours a day, which is against what I tell people: get 8 hours of sleep. But I was sleeping 10 hours a day and felt like I just get up and I needed another 10 hours of sleep. I sleep 4 or 5 hours, and I can't wait to get up. My mind is racing with energy. It's unbelievable.
But not to fool the audience, this is a lot of work.
Oh, absolutely. It's not an easy thing.
It's not easy. It's not like, boom, okay, I'm in this, you've got to stay consistent.
Yep.
It's a couple years of work.
At least, but you know what? I don't want to look at it as that initial. It's going to take me 2 years to get there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to feel that they're in a place right today, and it's okay. You are where you are today, but today is the new day, and I want you to take that step. Get away from the couch. Go for a 5-minute walk if that's all you can contain. And to say, listen, there are people, and I know that I had one driver told me that vegetables wasn't a food group, which I was astonished. And he never ate vegetables, but he passed away at 46. Again, the life lesson would be is, listen, he needed to have some types of foods that was going to nourish him, and he wasn't getting that, and because he led that lifestyle.
Well, the key word, what you just said right there, nourish.
Right.
People don't understand what will nourish them.
Yeah, and
that's where
and
you
I know a
come
lot
into
of
play.
well, that's it. And I know a lot of folks here that are probably home, sitting on a couch. They're lonely.
Yeah.
And again, if you can feel connected with some organization or some group, and you can help people in some way that you can give, everybody that I've ever walked in life has something to give and teach me.
Yeah.
Again, I've learned from more people. My kids, the younger generation has taught me things that I had to learn to accept that I'm not a know-it-all, but be able to accept them as people and get
Yeah.
them out of their livelihood, because they all have something to offer.
Yes. Yeah.
And by them getting connected with society, feeling meaningful, that will fill their soul of being able to give. It wasn't the food they were getting. Once they realize they're getting out and about, and they start realizing that they start changing their food diet, and they start losing a pound or two here and there, and all of a sudden they feel like they're connected. Their mind is now focused on something totally
Right.
different, and now they feel that food is not their primary concern anymore.
But it's getting to that point for
Right.
everybody. It's trusting themselves, and it's difficult for a lot of
Right,
people.
and that's where health coaches, I know I'm one of many here in our society. We have a lot of people that are in the same type of things. I've met some wonderful health coaches. We're not stepping on each other's toes, each taking a certain kind of targeted audience. I have a very tough targeted audience to get to, again, because their lifestyles are so different. But again, if I look and broaden my ranges, we can help people in a certain way that, again, doctors can. You pay dearly to sit with that doctor. He will look at your chart, you'll get your vitals, and you're lucky to have a 4-minute conversation
Exactly.
with that individual. And he will basically, no, you need to lose weight. Here's a number. Call this person, this nutritionist, or call this puppet. But even that person will give you a bunch of paper. You can eat this, you can eat that. Whereas a health coach is going to dissect a little more of that deeper.
And that's the difference. That's what the audience needs. A health coach is specific to you.
Correct.
That's what you need. You need that one-on-one. I mean, to compare it to AA.
In a sense, Food Addicts Anonymous. And,
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically you need that guidance once you learn. Once you move forward. Now, we're running short on time and that, but I want you to do a show for our audience.
Well, I'd love to do that.
And what I think, because now they know you wrote a book, they know what you're doing. I mean, if you would do your own show.
Well, that could be a marvelous entertainment.
Well, not only...
I've got a comedy side of me as well. And,
but that's good. People learn with humor.
Well, I hope so.
They really do. And if you could do a show and each week, give a breakdown on food, give a breakdown on little baby steps and working up. I think that would be great. And I'm so proud of Robert because he was in my class. We connected. I'm a path for him to get him off to where his next level is. And that's how I kind of look at it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I really think you need to start doing a show here.
Well, I appreciate
than later.
I appreciate that opportunity.
Because I think you have more to say about individual things. And breaking it down for everybody.
Yeah. Well, we start here at home and help heal the world. It's my step of giving back to society and doing the things that I really have a lot of passion for.
And you do have passion. And I know all of you out there can see and feel and hear Robert's passion because he's accomplished something that's amazing, plus wrote a book. I mean, okay, I have to ask you this. When you said, okay, I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
When you sat down and you're there, what went through your mind?
Again, it was my journey, and I wanted to connect with that specific audience. And again, we're talking my truck driving friends in the community that I dealt with and had known me for a long time. And I felt that was an area that I needed to focus on and share some terminologies that they can really relate to.
Right.
Truck drivers and independent truckers will look at fuel, what they put in their vehicle, so much more than what they even think. They won't even think of what they put in that morsel of food, but yet they'll agonize for hours just making a discussion over what types of fuel additives to their trucks and what's good, what's not good, and you shouldn't put that in, you should put this in, you run this oil, run that oil. I mean, they would agonize for hours. Oh, don't do that. But yet, wouldn't think of putting that Twinkie in their mouth with 2 seconds of blink of an eye. So unfortunately, I tried to use those concepts in the book so for them to have an aha moment to say, Ah, okay. Never gave that a thought, that all the sugar that I'm on is creating the issue that I'm having. So try to use some of those analogies that they can relate to. And not just them, but the typical person. So if they understand, again, some of the jargon in the book is written for truckers, they won't know what EGR valves are. But if a doctor is a cardiologist and he tells you you've got the hardening of the arteries and clogged arteries, and you need to take these statin drugs, and all of a sudden they're talking to you at a level here, I'm thinking, all right, we need to talk to a level here that the typical blue-collar worker will understand. So that's how I kind of wrote the book, in hopes that the message gets to them that, hey, if it's to be, it's up to me concept in their head.
Yeah.
So that they can take that initial step, take that first step. And again, I'm reaching out to the world that, hey, there are health coaches out there. I do not work with everybody because we don't have that same spark, because I have to feel that they need to want it, they have to own it, because it's not a one-way street where someone really needs to be there. And if I feel that we can connect and I can really help this person, again, those are the folks that I
Well,
enjoy.
you know, I think the main question is, when people come to you, why are they coming to you?
Right.
What do you want? What do you want to achieve?
Correct.
I think once you have that knowledge.
Yes, and that's part of setting up goals. Can I really help this person achieve the goals they desire? Because if they're going to continue their ways, they know they're in that category, one of those categories. And if I feel that we can make those strides and teach them the right steps, those are the people that become very successful. And again, those are people who are going to be leading that energized, passionate life, realizing that they get out there and say, wow, I've been given a new life.
And even if they have children, I mean, the children always copy their parents.
Right.
So if they see the parents making a lifestyle change, the diet change, the children are going to copy the parents, mother and father.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the schools have a lot of potential to be able to get there to
think so,
educate
too.
them. Again, we have nutrition. Again, I would love to get into the schools and speak of this passion to them as well, to say, listen, we don't do a very good job of teaching life skills in schools. We give them a small component. It's almost like the medical field. They go to school for 12 years for medical, and they've been, again, inundated with things, but very small piece of their learning is about nutrition, and they haven't made that full connection. There are a lot of doctors, though, that are finally realizing that food does matter, and it is a part of the equation. Right. So you can load them up with a bunch of pills, but that may not be the answer.
No, and I think if you're loaded up with a lot of pills and medications, a lot of people need that to be able to lose weight, to bring down the blood pressure and do all that. But I think once you start to achieve that, the quicker you can get off medication, the better.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where I think a lot of people have taken, if you can control this without taking these costly drugs and having to see these things, if you knew that today, that by eating these foods would be nourishing you healthier and working with somebody that holds you accountable. That say, hey, listen, this, and again, I teach actually cooking classes, which I never dreamed of, that I've always been a self-proclaimed chef, and I've always tried to take my passion for cooking and taking those ingredients, but I've come to realize that when I was offering these classes, a lot of people came, they really didn't know how to food. So we've lost a generation of people. So I look at the show, if we're going to produce a show, is that maybe teaching the next generation of how to create food. It was funny, I had a daughter just call me 2 days ago and says, hey, Dad, I'm trying to make this special dish for some company coming over, but I haven't got a clue where to start. So who does she call? She calls her dad.
She calls Dad.
So it was, it made me feel really well that she would call home and say, hey, listen, I always call parents. And again, we've lost that generation. I've learned those skills from my aunts and my mother, and skills where those skills have been lost.
Well, they have been.
I mean, people don't can and preserve or grow victory gardens. Those were things back in the 50s and the 40s where people had to survive.
And a lot of people don't know the victory gardens and all of that.
Right.
We're really coming down on, God, I could talk to you all day.
I feel the same. I'm like, I'm only giving you guys the
he's
small
only
piece.
Giving you this.
But again, I'm hoping that the book, if people get out there,
where can they buy the book?
It's on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, iTunes, and Google.
Okay.
And so those are out there. I know a couple of local non-such have some books. And so, I mean, it's out there.
So look for the book.
And
at the end of the show, now we have all your information. If people want to contact Robert, The information is going to be at the end of the show. I'll also put on there your website.
Okay.
So that's on there, and the sooner the better. The sooner you can move on this, you know, saying, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it after this event. Just start now. Just start getting your mindset now.
Yeah. The spring is coming, and the days are getting longer and the warmer.
So you can be out walking longer after work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not dark. And I think that's where a time change would be really good. If we had a longer day, I think people would be more motivated to get out. You know.
Well, I'm going to put a plug in for our local community adult education, Saco, Loja Beach. I'm putting a plug in for them because there's a lot of great people that are putting on a bunch of programs at that school. The flyer is soon to be flying out. I have several classes in that thing. So people that want to walk it off, people that want to eat to run, and I have a few other programs coming up.
It's great now. It's great to
know.
So
again, it's things to know.
Yeah.
We haven't done a real good public. People look at that and look at it as a you know, added feature to the community. But there are a lot of people putting on a lot of great programs at that school. So
see, and now that you've met Robert and you see his name there, go take his class.
There you go. Thank you.
Go take his class. Robert, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank you. It's been great.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're going to do your own show.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys are up for a mind-blowing experience, right?
We are up for it, and this weekend we're going to go to the dance, the 50s, 60s, and 70s dance.
Yeah, we're going to shake a leg.
We're going to shake a leg. Bruce Martin.
Yes.
If you remember from past shows, he's the disc jockey. He was in our class as well. So a lot of us are going to that this weekend.
I tell you, you get Bruce and I talking.
Oh my God!
He's the greatest guy I've ever met. I'm so grateful to have met him in my class, and I'm excited about meeting him again this coming.
Oh, he's going to be on a roll. So anyway, everybody have a good day, good evening, good morning. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.